Hello everybody, how are you today? We are going to be doing episode 2 in the Journal Through Life from Beginnings YouTube. This is the series that I'm going to continue doing. I'm going to do them in numerical order so that when you're looking for one, if you've missed one, say you watched episode 2 and I'm now on episode 4, you can go back and find episode 3 really easy. So that's just one thing. You'll hear me refer to it as the JLB channel on more than one occasions. It's just easier than saying the whole words out. But if you're looking for it on YouTube, it will be Journal Through Life from Beginning. And it'll come up. I'll be there. So just if this is your first one, go back and watch the introductory. So that was who I told you what I was, how many years I've had experience of doing this. I have not had any college studying in anything, but I have been researching since 1978, 79, somewhere around in there. And I have done just about every version except traveling long distance to do something. But there are people across the whole country, across the world. If you get a relationship built up with them on an online forum, they'll be glad to help you. Some of them charge, some of them don't, but you just have to look around and see. I'm going to talk just a little bit about thanking you for watching the last episode. Last I counted, I had 49 views. Thank you so much. Please leave me a comment where you're watching me from. That would be extremely helpful in case I need to ask you a question about something in your area. I can know where to direct that question to instead of just asking everybody that comes into to view my channel. Today I woke up to a nasty thunderstorm, and there was flooding everywhere. The creek just down below me is, as my grandma would always say, got its Sunday britches on. But it has eased up now. It's not raining out there now. The sun looks like it's trying to peek through. It hurt me. It won't come back out today, but you know, that's just an old wives' tale. So we're just going to today I'm going to go over the different type of charts that can start you out, you know, different types of ways of keeping your information, different ways of searching for your information once you've done all that you can do. And then at the end of this, we will do a small journal page to start it out. I'm not a really great journaler. I have not been doing that in the past. I've done a little bit of dabbled in a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and everything else. I guess you could say what I write down in my planner is a form of a journal. That's true. But I have researched for 40 years, so I have a lot of information. So I now want to, as we're going through, I want to journal that information as we're going through it, as we're doing something, as we're learning something new, to journal the information that I have and the stories that I've been able to pick up over the years with those, which I'll share, you know, as I can. As with any genealogy program or anything that you're doing, be very careful about putting out anybody's information if they're still living. If you're going to go online, restrict that information to anybody that has already gone on. Don't try to put that information out to anybody that's still living, because that's sensitive information that they probably don't want out. Somebody might not want you to know how actual old they are, or that they have the ages of their kids or whatever. So let's just always be mindful not to put that information on the internet. If it's yours to give out and you don't care, that's entirely up to you. But if the information is personal about somebody else in your genealogy, let's be really respectful. Alright guys, so now what I'm going to do is, about 5 minutes into this video, I am going to pause you and put you on the overhead area where we can go over the different forms and different charts and different other stuff that you will be able to know what they mean, know what they're good for. When I started doing it, I had to learn every bit of that myself. I'm sure, well, when I started it 40-some years ago, you did not have the computer. You did not. You had a typewriter if you was lucky. You might be able to go to the library and have something photocopied, but mostly you did this. Write it down. Write it down, write it down. And in writing information down, sometimes you get it correct, sometimes you don't get it correct. So you have to verify that information. That's the other thing I'll stress in addition to keeping people that are alive, their information personal, is to source your stuff. Sorry guys. Source your stuff at least 3 different sources. Now, if you're starting your page with you are the individual source. If you're you'll know the most of the information about you that you don't have to put the source, but you can still put in the source section information from me. I gave that information because I'm the one living in it and I'm the one doing it. All right, guys, let's put you down and we'll go over these things. Okay, guys, let's work on what's called a family group sheet. A family group sheet, I'm going to show you an example of a member of my family, not a close member, but a member. I made this copy of a family group sheet up myself. It just has the connection, who they are. This is my maternal. This means this is my mother's great grandfather, 9 times removed. Let me see. You all can't see that. There we go. His name was John Davenport. He was born in 1637 in England. Now, I do not have his mother and father yet, so that would be a thing that I needed to do. So, who his spouse was, when they got married, when he died, and what his children are. Down here at the bottom, we have a genealogy contact. That means if you're talking to a genealogist, you put their email address or their contact spot right here so that you can, either 1, you can get more information from them, 2, you can give them credit for it, and 3, you maybe find some information that they didn't have that you can then share with them. What family you're researching, like I've started out researching the Hankins side, and now I've done every side known to man. And then if, say, you have this information, there was too much for this page and you're going to switch it over onto a different page, just number your page and switch it over. Now the information for his wife, I have on the back here, but I'll show you 3 or 4 different ways to do it so you don't have to even turn the page over. So, but that's just if, say, she was married to John Davenport, he passed away, and then she had another husband. So you would put their date of marriage out here, and then any children that came to that marriage. So let's get started on the one that I started with. I simply wrote down name, birth date, parents, spouse, date of marriage, death, and death date. No, death place, because you would put the date there. Now these would require whoever the name is, a date, the parents, the spouse, the date, the death, and the death would be also a date. And then if you happen to know where they passed away, you can also add in what happened to them, you know, where they're buried at in the cemetery. And then you bring down, that's their basic information. That's what you want to start with. This, I'm showing you this because you do not have to have a fancy computer program, although you can go online. There are free genealogy papers that you can start with. You just have to be very careful because even though you type in free family group sheet, they'll give you 50 sites that you have to pay for something. And you can do that if you want to. You don't have to because there's a lot of free pages. But genealogy has become a business over the years since I've been doing it. So there are a lot of people trying to help you out. And because there is a lot of time involved in it, they do request a little bit of a payback so that all their time and energy isn't wasted or isn't, you know, used up for nothing. Then after you get to the cemetery, I write down children. Now this brings me to the part where I always just wrote down a name. Say that, you know, you have a boy and a girl and a girl. Well, when you go to the boy, it's going to have the last name of the father. Having trouble keeping you in screen. It'll have the last name of the father. But when you get to this girl and she gets married, the name you might be researching is her married name. Or you might want to tie her into another group sheet that has her family in it. So you really need to do the girl's name plus spouse. And then you could do spouse out here. So that way, when you come into this person again, the one you're researching, and you see that they have things and you have them, you don't have it on a computer yet, you just have it in a file. Well, I have a file folder here somewhere. Oh, here. So you just have it in a file, like one of these, which is perfectly good because you could put your name and then change out places. You don't have to worry about it. This would be perfect. And then you would be able to go in there and find that person and put the more information, then find the spouse, the kids and the spouse. Then down at the bottom, always make you some notes. There might be a story that goes along with this family. I'll show you that when I do my journaling here in a little bit, because I have a story that I want to tell in my journal about my actual birth. So we'll bring that up here in a little bit. And then down here at the bottom, put your source. I can't even spell source. S-O-U-R-C-E. Now, because this one is going to start out with me, my date of birth, and my parents is Dad and Mom. You'll put the name in. My spouse is Joe. The date of marriage. I'm still living, so I don't have to fill in these parts yet. So we're good to go there. I have actually 4 girls. And no, well, if you count Sean, he's my boy. So then you have to remember to always add in their spouses, their date of birth, and date of marriage. If you know it. You're probably not going to learn all that information to start with. I have now added in who married them, the preacher of who married them. I've added in different things about, you know, different items that I've come across over the course of time. Always add in any notes. They might been served in the military. They might have been somebody special. They might have a little story to tell like I'm going to tell about my birth, but those would be notes. And if you do it on this, then you can have the back of it to fill in the spouse's information. Just put, just same as you did on front, name, birth, parents, and you don't have to put the spouse because this is the spouse. Then you can put the place of death, or date of death, place of that they died, and the cemetery. And then if they married somebody else, you could put second spouse. And then, some reason that don't look right. I know it is, yep. And then you can go down and add any extra children that they had. But they're all going to be coming under, normally you do the male on the first page. But because, you'll see when we get into some of my stuff, I have put, when I do pages like this, I have put the direct line ancestor on this side. So if it happens to be the woman, then she'll get this front and center page and he'll go on the back. But that's my personal preference. If you want to do them all the exact same way, you'll do the male. The thing with doing that is if you're doing a research on Aunt Margaret and you don't easily recognize her first husband's name, then you're going to have trouble remembering that this is the page for Aunt Margaret. What you want to do is to put put Aunt Margaret here and her husband and then put his information on the back. That way, as you get more familiar with them, and believe you me, I probably have 10,000, well, more than that. I probably have close to 500,000 pieces of information in my genealogy as it's went through. As you'll see as we get on, I'll show you where to find the information and everything. So this is just a sample if you want to write it on a piece of paper. Trust me, when you first start this, because this is exactly how I did it, this is exactly the pages I started with. When you do that, that's fine, but you have to remember that every time you have to write this information down again. You have to start all over again. I would write 50 to 100 pieces of paper with just this information on it. So all I had to do was fill it in. So when computers came in, and it was wonderful, and you could design this on Word, Microsoft Office, whatever, you could design this page. Then I came to make, whoops, I'm so sorry. I do that every time I'm filming. I went to make this one. Stop. And this one has the same stuff. You start with the last name, first name, and middle name. If you know them, you may not know anything but the last name. Or you may just know the first name. Always remember when you're doing this, it's a woman's maiden name. That's what you put up here. And then you can go down. There'll be a birthday, month, and year. Birth, town, county, state. Her father's last name, first name, and middle, if you know them. And you'll find out that you'll find this stuff out as you're going on if you don't know it to start with. All this stuff is the same, just exactly like what I had on the other paper. Except for on this one, I have the spouse's information on the front part of the page. So that then it works. So you can see everything at one glance. But that presents a problem of being able to put the children in. So then you don't have the space to put the children, their birth date, their spouses. And that runs into a little bit of confusion when you get back farther. Not when you start, because you'll know a lot of that information. It will get ingrained in your mind because you're going over and over and over it. So you will remember it. But when you get backwards in the generations behind, then you're going to say, okay, where I see Sally's name down here. Wow. Okay. But you might have James up here. Say we have James Johnson up here. And James had Sally. Okay? So you're going to say Sally Johnson. That makes sense. That's going to be Sally Johnson. However, James had a father named James. And he had a Sally. So now you've got the quandary of, is this Sally here? Which one is she? Which one do you have her in under your thing? Now, of course, you can say, You might just say, it might just be James Johnson. So when you're going through, you might find several that I have done that on, especially on the Hankins side of my family. There would be multiple fellas that were in the direct line that had the same name. So when you get down here, if you're wanting to bring down more information about Sally that you found down here, it is a good, useful piece of information to have Sally's birth date and who Sally married. So then you can then deduce which one of those Sallys you're talking about. So I created this one last night that I can send you as a PDF through your email. All you got to do is contact me at journalthroughlifefrombeginning@gmail, and I'll be glad to send it to you. All you have to do is then copy it off, fill it in, and hole punch it. You can either use this or buy you a 3-ring hole punch, which is what I suggest when you're first starting out to do that. Now, there are several websites online, which we'll go over in a later video, that will let you put your stuff online for free. That is a personal choice of your own if that's what you want to do. I do not do that simply because I do not want all of my hard work to be out there without knowing where it's going, because there are so many AI and stuff out there now that if you get your personal information up there and somebody grabs a hold of it, it's hard to tell what they can do with it these days. Now, that makes me a hypocrite, and I'll be the first one to tell you that, because I do find a lot of my information, especially my back longer years information, because there's nobody left here for me to ask questions about. I find a lot of that information online. So that kind of makes me hypocritical, but I don't ask information about somebody that's living online, because generally that information is not available. It's only if you've passed away. But I don't want somebody to be able to overrun that and get in and get the information until I'm ready. Now, at some point, I will be confident enough to go ahead and put all this up. That way, any of you all that are out there can go and look at my things. But I've got sources everywhere that I did not, at the beginning, put the sources on the page. Now, that's my bad. That's because there was nobody teaching me how to do genealogy when I was young. So now I know I have the sources, or I can find the same information and use those sources, but I don't have it written down. I don't have it sourced inside my program. So I'm going back through and I'm sourcing everything so that when I get that accomplished, then I can put it up and everybody will have a chance to see. I will restrict anybody that's still living, anything that is somebody that's still living. You will not have access to any of their birth dates, marriage dates, or anything like that. That will not happen. Okay, so, but this is the one that I made up. It's basically the same thing. This connection simply means how they kin to you. It might be you. It might be your parents. Say it might be your father. And then you put his name, who his father and mother was, and the same stuff is all here. Except for right here, I made a little box. I've gotten better over the years, where you can put the child's name and their date of birth and who their spouse is. So now when you're hunting Sally and she married Joe, say she married Joe Brown, then you can look up Sally Brown. You can still look up Sally, whoever the first name is, if that's how you have put her in your thing. But you might find Joe Brown somewhere and want to look to see if Joe Brown, who was married to Sally. So now you can go back through, because you have the names, you can go back and cross-reference them. I hope I'm making sense to you guys. This is a lot. I've done it over the years, so it's hard for me to bring it back down to the beginning stages, but I am trying, so give me feedback. Help me to help you. What do you want to know? How do you want to know it? How can I make it simpler, or am I doing a decent job? Again, here is your genealogy contact. That's important. If you picked it up online, that's your genealogy contact. Because even if you've got it off, say, the Virginia Roots web page, and you found your ancestor, and that was, you verified that was it, put the Virginia Roots web page. You don't have to put the address if you don't want to, just the Virginia Roots web page, so that you know that's where you found that information. So if you need to search for something else, you know that you can go to that site and then put in somebody else's name that you found and see if there's any more information. How long were they in Virginia? Did they live, like when we first started, we were part of Virginia when I was first, the ancestors that I can go back to. But then when it became West Virginia, not only did they split the state, but some of the counties got split up to where originally Greenbrier County incorporated 5 or 6 different counties, and then when they split it up, Fayette County became a part of it, Greenbrier. And, you know, so there's different ways of looking at stuff. Right now, just start with you. The most important, the most time. It would be a good idea somewhere on this page, maybe on the connections side, if you put the date you started. That way you would have a running date of how much information you have collected over the course of time. Okay, so this is the other one. It's just, well, I've showed you that one. So these are all done. Okay, so now we're going to go to what they call, I'm thinking I'm going to pronounce this right, Ahnentafel chart. Ahnentafel chart, which is simply put an ancestry chart. This is mine actually out of my family tree program. And we'll talk about all the different programs on another video, so don't get tore up about the program. This is just makes it easier for me to tell you things. The word is called Ahnentafel. And I'm sorry, this is an Affendale report. So if you're looking for this particular report will give you who you are, and then who your parents, your siblings, their parents, your father's siblings or mother's siblings, whoever you're looking for. Because see here, there's mom's, or here's dad's siblings, continued over here. And then here is mom's parents and all of her siblings. Now I have blocked out the dates so that nobody can see the dates when they were born and stuff. But that's what this is called. This is called an Affendale report. This is called a descendants report. And it just goes from me down through to everybody. So this one goes from you down. This one goes from you backwards, so that you can have a report. Now you can do those yourself. They're a little bit more time consuming because you have to write so much out or type so much out. But we'll get into, like I said, we'll get into the programs that can give those to you. The next one we're going to come up with is called a family group sheet. The family group sheet is the same thing, only it's made up a little bit different. This one was printed offline. It has all the information about the husbands and any other wives, the wife and any other husbands, the children, were they a boy, a girl? Because this is important also, because if you're going back in history, like my grandma Wilson had 10 kids. 5 survived. 5 passed away. 1 passed away when she was about 6 years old. And 2, she had a set of twins, and the twins passed away, roughly about 3 to 4 days from each other. And then she had 2 stillbirths. Well, if you didn't know that you wouldn't, I mean, if you didn't know the names, you wouldn't know whether they were male or female. So it's always a good idea if you run across anything you're doing and they say infant died at birth, try to remember what sex they said the baby was. Because at some point in your research, you may come across somebody else telling the same story about that infant, that little girl that passed away at birth, and they'll have a name that you can fill that in. And the whole thing about doing genealogy is filling in these empty blanks, as many as you can. This is one type of group family sheet, and this is another one. This is called is a family tree sheet. It's where the children are, the wife is here, okay? The children are all here, the brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, the paternal aunts and uncles, and then the parents are here, and then the grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents, and the 3 greats. So they just keep, well, no, these are 2 great-grandparents, because you have 2 on each side. You'll see the lines. This can get very confusing. This is the mother's line that goes up. And then she comes off from here, and that line goes up. And then this line comes over, and this line comes. So it can get confusing as to which one goes on which block. So be very attentive to make sure that you get the details in the right spot, so that everything will do. Now this one is also a family group sheet. This is the one I used for a long time because it says who's prepared by, which is me, what my address is, and the relationship to the preparer. So this is prepared by me. So who this person is, who are they related to me? It could be my dad, my mom, whatever. And then you put the information. Now on these, because everything's on the front page, you do start with the husband first. No matter whether it's your, like your aunt's husband, you still start with him first because these are all on the same page. The same way with, here's the other one I had. Oh well. Same way with this one here. You always start with the husband up here. And then you get but this one is really good because on the children's section, which is why I like this one, you have, you can put the number, where they're located at in your family tree papers if you want to. This is their sex, their name, that's their given name. Try not to use nicknames in the given names section. You can always add out from it or in parentheses behind the given name, the nickname. But try to remember to put the whole, like, Dad was called Buck, but I would put his name, Robert Rondell Johnson, and then in parentheses, I could put Buck, so that if anybody else happens to be looking at this sheet, then they didn't know Daddy's name was Robert. I'll say, oh, that's Buck Johnson. I remember him. Then you have the birth date, month, day, and year, day, month, and year, the birthplace, city, county, and state. Then you have they're married, the date that they were married on the top line, and the name of the spouse on the second line. And then when they died, where they died at, and what date. And then if you have a computer ID number, you can put that over here. So that are just some different types of family group sheets that you could get interested in. Your Affindale, that's what I call it, Affindale. I know that ain't pronounced right. Your pedigree chart. Let me show you those. This is the next one up. This one is where, just like with the other one that I showed you, just like this, you're going to be transferring up. But this one is so much simpler because you have who you are, whoever it is, whoever me is. Then you put your mom and your dad, your mom's parents, grandparents, And remember, there's 2 sets of great-grandparents. I think they said as you go back, every generation you are adding, like the first generation you had 2, then you had 4, then you had 8, then you had 16, then you had 32. So each generation you go back, you have multiple people that you're going to be adding in. So that's going to be multiple pages that you're going to, if you want to go back that far. That's the first thing you got to decide. How many generations do I want to go back? This one is mine. This is an actual pedigree chart that I printed off of the program I have that just gives you me, Dad, Mom, Granddaddy, my Granddaddy Johnson, my Grandma Johnson, which her maiden name, you pull this down some, I'm not getting you in frame. Her maiden name was Wilson. Let me, one of these, I forgot mine. Put it over my birthday. And then her maiden name was Wilson, so her parents are Leo and Mary. Mary's maiden name was Pridemore, so then you can keep going back chasing those lines over and over and over again. We have Granddaddy Hank or Johnson's parents here. Down here we have Mom's people that go backwards, so we can keep going backwards with those. So you just have to really enjoy looking and decide for yourself. You may just want to go back to your great-grandparents. If that's all the information that you want, that's fine. You will have a good time just researching those. When you start, what you begin with is, find those empty pages. Now, you're going to start here. First thing you're going to want to do is your birth date. Start with you. That's the important part. Start with you. Your birth date. Where were you born? I was born at home. But all my kids were born, 3 of them were born in Montgomery. 1 of them was born in Summersville. So this is important because then you can say, was I born in the hospital? Did I not make it to the hospital? Was I born in a cab? So, it just will be an interesting piece of facts. All you're doing is just relaying your life in your own little book for your grandkids, your great-grandkids. It might be 3 or 4 generations down the line before somebody gets interested. But it will be a wealth of information for them. So then you're going to say, are you married? If you are, who did you marry? When did you get married? When is the place? I know this is repetitive, but this is where we start at. The note section is important because you might say in this note section, you might decide instead of putting down anything about you might say what you want to do next. Where do you want to go next? What is the avenue? Do I want to search for such and such? So then you would be able to know really quick what you found here and what you still need to know here. And the sources are really good because you're doing it on you. So this should be easy. You may have your birth certificate. You may have your marriage certificate. If you do, you can make a copy of those, and in your part of the book, you can put that stuff. So there becomes, you're the first source number 1, your birth certificate is source number 2, and your marriage certificate is source number 3. Because your birth certificate will now have your mother, and your marriage certificate will have your mother and father on it. Your marriage certificate should then have your spouse's parents on it. So then you have everything verified. So you can be confident to know that if you have those 3 sources, you're good. But always try to at least 3 sources. And that's a bare minimum for me to make sure that I have verified the stuff that I have in my genealogy from 3 different angles. Because, like I said on my other channel, me and my husband were married on August the 9th. But when the preacher took that marriage certificate that he filled out over to the courthouse and turned it in, we were married on August the 8th, which was not correct. But if I did not have it put down in here, the date we were married and the place we were married, and put a note down here that the preacher put in the wrong date for our marriage certificate, somebody's going to be going over to the courthouse trying to find our marriage certificate and have the wrong date. And people likes to research all that kind of stuff. Genealogists really like to make all these papers filled completely out. And there'll still be more information coming in. Because when you do this, you'll have to put in a new page, because these kids will get married and they will have kids. And those kids will get married and have kids. And on down the line. So each one of these pages that you do could relatively become 15, 16 more pages. And each one of them that you look at will just give you that much more information. So let me go on to the next page. Where do you look for this information? This is the most important part. You start with your group sheet. Pull this group sheet out and put what you need to know on it. Okay, so you know this. Okay, then you're going into your father and your mother. Well, they're your father and your mother. You never paid any attention to the fact that they were always there taking care of you, making sure you was fed, make sure you had clothes, make sure you wasn't nosy in all their business. So now, you have to be just a little nosy. So now you take this same sheet, copy off you a new one, and you put your father and your mother on one. They become the name and the spouse. So then you become part of the children. So now you need to go, when were they born? Where were they born at? Were they born in a hospital? Were they born at home? Who's their mother? Who's their father? And on down the line, all the way down to the note section. Did they say something that will trigger a memory in your mind or in somebody else's mind about what's going on? This is a relatively important part of this, is the note section, because you may be now talking to the aunt and uncle that you have about your dad and mom, and they come up with a story. Maybe they were older and they were there when they were born. Maybe that was, a good day for them. So then you could put in little notes like that. And then on, back and back and back and back until you get as far back as you want to go. You can go to family members, parents, grandparents, great-grandparents if they're still living, aunts, uncles, cousins, everything that you can see. If you know something, ask them. Say, hey, do you have, what do you know about such and such? Then you can go to the local county courthouses, which is where I found a lot of my information. I would go, I'd have me a list of things that I wanted to research, because you can't take your whole book in there, but you can make you a little cheat sheet of information that names that you're looking for, or dates that you're looking for. You might have the name that you're looking for, but you don't have the date attached to it. You have a date range that they could be, so these books are huge. They are probably 18 inches wide by 2 foot tall. They are huge. So you drag those books out and you're sitting there and you're looking. I used to be able to go in there. I don't think you can do it anymore, but I would go in there and get the book off the shelf and sit down at this little table, and I'd sit there, and over and over and over again, I would sit there and look. And sometimes, I've said this before on my other channel, sometimes I'd be researching a name and going past it because it wasn't really tying into anything that I had in the genealogy. And something felt like somebody was patting me on the shoulder and telling me, no, go back and get that information. That's important information to you. So I would go back and I would write down the name, the birth, and all that other stuff that was on that line that was in there. And within 6 months, I was able to tie that person into my family tree. So that is really important that if something strikes just a little bit of interest in you, go ahead, and you're not absolutely out nothing. You have that piece of paper, information wrote down on your piece of paper, and then you can simply say, okay, this is good. And then whenever you come across another piece of information that has that piece of information, oh, you can say, I remember that from the courthouse, and go back to the courthouse page and get that information and put it all together. Now you have a new family in your family tree history. You can go to local libraries. They have some genealogies that's already been done up, that's already been shared with the world, which is what I want to do. I want to make a genealogy book of 10 generations, starting with me, going forward the 3 generations that my grandkids are, and great-grandkids, backward 6 generations from me for a total of 10 generations, which I can do hands down. I just got to figure out how to put it together. Christy is a very good writer, so she's helping me put it together, and when it is done, then we'll be able to let everybody know that it's done. Local genealogists are wonderful people that can help you. There's genealogists all over where I live, so I'm sure there's genealogy people out everywhere, just, everywhere you are. Now, they may not specialize in everybody. They may just specialize in their particular families. So you have to ask, do you know information? Or maybe even if they don't know your information, they will be able to send you on the track to find the information that you need. And this is important because people contact is important, because then you make new friends and you see new family that you tie right in. Like when I was doing a West Virginia Wednesday for my other channel, or for my Facebook, I tied in somebody that I had never even known that was there. And you get such an excitement over that. It's really wonderful when you can tie somebody that you did not expect to tie in an unusual circumstance. So I had a good time. Next place is the West Virginia State Archives. You can get on that site online, and it has death records and marriage records and birth records and all kinds of stuff that are down there that you can actually research online. Make sure when you do that, that you put that in your source section, that's where you found that information at. That's really important. Another place to look is called rootsweb.com. And they'll have different states that you can look through. They'll have different counties in that state that you can look through. So say I live in one county, but the person that I'm researching might be in 4, 5, 6, 7 counties away. I don't want to drive to that particular courthouse, but I can get on RootsWeb, and if somebody has already researched that family, all that information will be in there. There's land records and military records and all kind of records in there that you can look. It's fun just to go look, just go see what they got. Then they have Ancestry.com. Of course, that is a purchase thing that you have to buy, along with Family Tree Maker is a purchase thing. Those are 2 things that I have now that are helping me out to collect all this information and put it on a hard drive so that no matter what happens in the future, we will be able to have access to it and be able to do research if I need to. And it's just fun. If you're somebody that's trying to find something to do, you don't have anything to do, please just pick you up a couple of sheets of paper and start with your genealogy. And follow me, because I'll take you on a journey of finding it all. What I can help you with, you can let me know, and I'll see what I can find out on it. Just shoot me a little email on somebody that you'd like to have researched. I'll be glad to research it. Then we have the LDS in Utah. LDS in Utah. And that is a big, I think it's Mormons, but they have the biggest genealogy library ever. So you can go on their website. Now, I don't know whether it's still free or not. It was when I was doing it, so you'd have to check it out. But that's a good resource because they have collected it over the United States and put those genealogies into a vault type situation out there that you can have access to find information on. So that is some of the sites that I have that you could look for. If you would like to have a copy of my notes, also just send me a little email at journalthroughlifefrombeginning@gmail.com, and I'll send this right to you so you can have what I've discussed in written form so you can take your time to go over it and look at it, and I can include a copy of the family group sheet if you'd like. So now we're going to back up, and I'm going to get my journal, and we'll be back and see what we can do with that. Like I said, you'll have to bear with me with this journal because I have no clue what I'm doing. None whatsoever. So what I'm thinking is the best way for me to start this is to do this page right here. I'm not going to write anything on because I'm going to call it the Our Family Tree. And that way we'll have it ready to go. And these first pages right here, I'm going to go off about 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I'm going to start right here. These are going to become my table of contents. I'm going to put in, we'll start a table of contents right here. And then say this page right here is now going to become my page. It'll be the Kathy page. So when I go back to the table of contents, I can put Kathy page and put numbers down here on the bottom and put the number in the table of contents so that when I'm looking, because right now I can find it easy. When I'm way back here looking for something, I'd have to search through every one of these pages to find the one I'm looking for. Where if I have it in the table of contents, say I have a page on my great-great-grandfather, and now I'm down to page 45. So I can put his name, page 45, go back here to where page 45 is at, and I can find him real easy to see if there's anything else I want to add to that journal page. Which brings me to the point where we're going to decorate this journal today. And I will write one little piece of information in it, and then I will just keep this open to write new stuff in as I go. I might put pictures in it. I might put just different things. I might put a picture of where I was, where I was raised at, where I had fun playing all the time. I might put a story about when I was a kid and my granddaddy. It's hard to tell what you want to journal on your page is entirely up to you. But what I want to do, I think, is they call it a waterfall pages, which is part of a Dutch door type page. And what they do is they go over 2 pages, and this first one they take and get my tape to open up here. Been in that she shed so long. Okay, guys. Let's take this one and turn this around where I can see it. And put this one. Let's see which is the top and which is the bottom. That's the top. So I want to bring this piece of paper look, guys, I got the big ones. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this piece of, it's best to use what I've seen online. It's best to use these wide, of course I messed it up first thing, because she said to run it over the side. And there's plenty of tutorials on doing a Dutch door thing. So then when you go back to the next page, you'll be able to see where this one goes. Let me cut off this this one here. So you'll be able to see where that one goes. And then you're going to want to take another piece of washi tape. Should have had these started before I told you I'm new at this. Take your time with washi tape because it has it's like painter's tape. It will tear off and go off at an angle. Okay, so then you're going to want to go, I have to stand up. Put that one on. Leave it hanging over a little bit. And then your other page, you're going to want to take your last washi tape, which is this little black one right here, and put it down right here, right at the end of that one. Okay, so then you can take and cut off the extras of all of it. On both sides. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to cut these pages right along that washi tape. I'm doing the easy version today. And then this one will get cut right along this washi tape. Okay, so now you have your different pages. So now what she said to do was to take that same washi tape that you did this side with and put it on this side. Let me try to cut this off so that I don't have to deal so much with it. Okay. Now put it on the back side of the one opposite the one you've got on that side. Okay. If it gets a wrinkle or two in it, don't stress about it if it's your first time. If you're a pro at it, I envy you. Okay, we'll keep this one piece. I might put it that inside. Okay, then you're going to go back and do the same thing with this one. Bring in the other tape. And wow, this is some sticky tape. Try to line it up as good as you can with the edge. The more I do it, the better I'll get, guys. But if you don't jump in and try something, you ain't ever going to get it done. Look how cute. Now, we're going to put this one on this side. Now, there we go. Now we have our Dutch door done. This is our first part of our journaling page. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to have to get my computer, my phone up just a little higher to do these with. Okay, so what I now have is stickers. These are Happy Planner stickers, but you could use any stickers that you wanted. I got these because they have the black design on a lot of them. Okay, then you're going to be because you're putting in the page for yourself, so you're going to want to put some stickers on each page. And just find the ones that you like. There we go. And then here are some flowers, which is what I wanted to use. I'm trying to figure out ways to use up my stickers because if you leave stickers sitting a long time, the sticky part gets off of them. Look how cute. Look how cute, guys. Now we'll take this one. Put it back over here so you can see which one I'm picking. Okay. And this is just a way to bring a little bit of fun into your doing stuff. That's so cute. Okay, now we're going to go on to this page. And let's see. I think I want to bring in this flower. You can put it right in the center. But before you stick it completely down, make sure that you crease it with your finger. So now that does good. And then this one, I think I'm going to take this little center one right here and put it right across the top. That's probably crooked, but excuse me, guys. Okay, so now let's see if we need anything else in here. Let me put another flower down here on this part right here. So there we go. We now have our stuff all done up. And what we're going to do, now we're going to take a ruler, just a regular ruler, your chin frame here. Mostly it's better if you do this on a dot grid page. So I'm only going to do a couple of lines on here. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to put my, if you are going to use markers in your book, your best suggestion is to go to the very last page, take the marker that you're going to want to use. Let's try this blue one. And make your name. And then turn it over and see if it bled through. You see, it ghosted, but it did not bleed through. So these markers will be good to write in. Let me see Let me test this one out. Bring it over and see it does good too. So you could write with these Sharpie S gels. So they would work good. So what I'm going to do is I am actually going to write with this thing and put my name here at the top. Kathy Elaine Johnson Kincaid. My birth date, I won't put the year in here, but I'll put that in off camera. I got married. Let's see, let me make a few more lines here. Need to have the hard book underneath it. And all you got to do is this. I'm going to do the rest of this off camera. And then I'll bring it back to you next week to show. But you just go through and you make your lines. I'll put my birth story right here. For anybody that hasn't heard that story before, when Mom was getting ready to have me, they sent my dad to town to get the doctor. Well, I wasn't waiting. I was anxious. I wanted to get to the world, to get started, to get doing stuff, all to lead me to this point. So my Grandma Wilson, which is my dad's grandma, actually delivered me, and then the doctor come and said I was okay. Little did he know. But anyway, that's the story that I will write right here. Then I will bring in me and Timmy here and our wedding and what days and some more little stickers and more little this and that and the other. And then on this page, I will bring in my 4 girls and the grandkids and the great-grandkids so that then they can have their own little place in my page. But that is the way I'm going to work on journaling all the way through this little tutorial class. Now, I may not journal with you all every week unless that's something that you request, but I just wanted to show you that is a good way to, when you're doing something, say you want to write a story about your grandfather, you can say, hey, I found out about Granddad today, blah, 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 in your little journal. You can have all of his information in your family history page, but in your journal, you can put down short little stories about somebody. You can make it a little short story. You can take those 6 pages and just make you a little short story about your life or somebody else's life or something that got important. So, you might have had a good experience at the courthouse when you went over there. You could make a little journaling page about that. That is entirely up to you as to what you want to do. Okay, guys, I have kept you, it'll probably be about an hour class when I get done editing. However, I want to thank each and every one of you for showing up. I hope that I haven't confused you too much. Please leave me a comment down in the bottom to let me know how you think I could improve, or something that you would like for me to go over, or something that you have a question on that I've already done some genealogy. If I know the answer without researching it, I will. If I have to research it, I'll send you a little email on what I found out. Just make sure that if you have any questions that you don't want put down in the comments, to send it to me through journalthroughlife.beginning@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to answer what I can. If you have questions that you would like for me to bring up at the next session, which will be in 2 weeks from today, please feel free to do so. Also, while you're in visiting, hit that little subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a thing. I'm not asking for money for anything. I just want to have subscribers. If I get to have, I think it's 500 subscribers, I can do this live. That way you can ask me questions on a live basis that I can give you answers to, or as good answers as what I know. I am not a professional genealogist. I have just been doing it for over probably close to 45 years. So I do have a few tips and tricks that I would like to pass on. We will be filling out more sheets next week with more places to go look and see information on, places to go find information about the states that they were born in and what it would be like at the turn of the century and back in the 1800s, wherever your people are from. Research what the state looked like at that time, and we'll do that on the next one. Give me a like. I would really appreciate that. That helps me out a lot to let me know that you are enjoying the content. I'm hoping that this edits out good and I didn't make myself look too silly. But please, please, please comment for me from where you're watching it. What city, you don't even have to give me the city, just what state you're watching me from. I have a West Virginia or a United States map that I want to color in the states for each and every one comment that I get from a different state. So you all have a wonderful day, and I will catch you in 2 weeks for another installment of the JLB channel. Have a great day. Bye-bye.